cutscene. I was waiting for that. It just happened. What's up, guys? Happy Friday, August 14th, 2020. So there's a lot of baseball tonight, and I don't know what's going on. Every team in the league is playing tonight. Some teams playing twice or 1.5 times. FanDuel Slate starts earlier. Why? They decided to keep the Nationals and Baltimore game on the slate, but they have to finish another game before this game starts. You know how that goes. Why? Why put it on the? Why? There's plenty of games tonight to not have to deal with that nonsense. So there's a chance that the slate locks before that game even has lineups out. If they even have the right game, right? It's so dumb. Right before I went live, Jacob DeGrom was scratched. So there's that. And yeah, I'm still waiting on a potential next pitcher there for the Mets. So fun start to the baseball day for me, but nonetheless, it's a Friday night. We got Coors Field, we got Yankees playing, we got a bunch of aces on the bump still, with or without Jacob DeGrom. Strasburg is in the mix for you FanDuel players. Garrett Cole, Sonny Gray. There's plenty of pitching tonight, so I will be picking mud because I love good pitching. I hate having to script lineups with some very, very average pitchers. Today won't be the case, so we're gonna jump into things head first, kind of chop up game by game here. I guess we're gonna be talking about. I only have 13 games in the spreadsheet, right? I did put we don't need to talk about the Blue Jays game. Maybe we'll circle back to this Nats and Baltimore game. So I'm going to start things off from the 7 p.m. games. Then we'll circle back and see what happens. I'm still waiting for my bing to kick in. Hey, if you guys are new to the channel, what you see on the screen is rundfs.com. That's the place where we don't just play DFS. We run DFS. If you guys are looking to take that DFS game to the next level, my number one piece of advice would be to join a team, join a group. It ain't got to be mine, but have a group of guys with a goal in mind, because right now it seems like more than ever having a team following news, tagging each other when stuff comes out, and just being able to spitball general game theory ideas off of each other is so important, especially if you guys are grinding NBA. I don't know how you guys did it today, but there's people out there playing NBA DFS today where every team had nothing to play for. God bless you. We have playoff basketball on Monday, so since there is a gap over the weekend in NBA slates that I'll cover, I've decided to do a one-day special on VIP passes to kind of compensate for the weekend of no basketball coverage. And I really haven't covered like officially today, yesterday either. So if you guys want to get a little bit of extra savings right now, the week pass went from 25 to 20. The 2-week pass went from 55 to 45. I think it went from 45 to 40. The month pass went from 80 to 70, and the year pass is down to 250. Now that year pass is here to stay for a while, but all these other passes, the week pass, the 2-week, and the month pass, that's today only, just to compensate for the short weekend. So if you guys are looking to add to your current subscription or try it out for a little bit more of a reduced rate, we do have that going. Nonetheless, we've got some basketball today. I left the air on. So bear with me. It's like 105 degrees out there. Usually I'll cut off the air, cut off the fan for audio quality purposes. But, y'all, it ain't happening today. We're going to have to deal with this AC. You know what I'm saying? Let's get cranked up, though. Game number 1, Red Sox and the Yankees going at it in the Bronx. Red Sox are 6-13. Yankees 12-6. Colton Brewer taking the bump. He'll be up against Garrett Cole. Brewer's going to be first out of the gate in what will be a bullpen game for the Red Sox. This is going to be Brewer's first career start. He has pitched 2 innings, given up 2 runs over 3 appearances at Yankee Stadium. Garrett Cole recorded double-digit strikeouts for the first time as a Yankee in his last start. He struck out 10 over 4 2/3 innings in a no decision at Tropicana Field. He saw, quote, good improvement in the effort, which marked his 26th consecutive start without a loss. A streak which dates to last season. That's the 5th longest win streak in baseball history. So he'll look to keep that alive. Yankees are pretty sizable favorites here. Let me have Labs open. They, I think at last time I checked, were like almost minus 200. They're minus 324. Okay, they're massive favorites here. Yankees have an implied run total of 6. Red Sox 3.2. So as a Yankee fan, what I'm watching for on this Yankee lineup is the status of Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge was pulled halfway through his last game 3 days ago. And then he wasn't in the lineup the next day, and this is coming off of a day's rest. And then yesterday was a day off. So after seeing Giancarlo Stanton put on the DL or the IL, it would be really encouraging to see Aaron Judge in that lineup, even if he's just a DH today. They did recall Clint Frazier, sent down Miguel Andujar, so I feel like if Judge did play today, he would be a DH nonetheless, especially in a lopsided game projection-wise. But that is what I'm looking for in this Yankees lineup, is the status of Aaron Judge. So the outfield would probably look something like Clint Frazier, maybe Tauchman, maybe Gardner. Hicks will more than likely start in center. So it's just a matter of, do they put Clint Frazier in right field or not. Frazier had a huge hitting day in his recall game. Almost went for the cycle. Hit a bomb, double, a single. Was going nuts. Another thing to look out for is Gary Sanchez. I had been watching a lot of Gary Sanchez. I watched every at-bat of the season so far. Gary Sanchez looked like he was coming around. He was working a lot of full counts, taking some walks, and then in that last game, he did send one over the wall. That's a good sign. Another catcher that I've been watching that's in a similar situation is Tucker Barnhart of the Reds. Yesterday, he worked his way through late in that game and sent one over the wall. So those are the kind of hits that kind of break a slump. But absolutely no interest for me in Red Sox pitching. And then Garrett Cole, he enters the conversation. 11K on both sides. A massive favorite, good opportunity at getting the win here. And his pitch count should be pretty much worked up to a, what do we got, 107 pitches last game. He should be pretty much stretched out to give you a decent shot at a great game. Last game, he probably stayed out a batter too long. Garrett Cole, if we look at his game log, earlier in the season, his swing and strike rate was a little bit lower than we would like on a game-by-game basis, but I'm not the type to overreact to 1 or 2 or 3 game sample size, especially considering how wonky the startup of this season has been. So if we look at the plate discipline data from his first 4 starts, we see a 12% swing and strike rate, 10.8, 6.6, and then all the way up to nearly an 18% swing and strike rate against the Tampa Bay Rays. That's what you want to see. For that to appear like it's coming back, we mix that with his pitch type, average velocity. It's kind of dropped. He started at 97 against the Nats, and he dropped it down to 95.5, but that's fine. It looks like he knows what he's doing when he's out there, and even when he doesn't have his best stuff, he's been pitching through it. So absolutely would have no quarrels with putting Garrett Cole into your lineups. Great opportunity for him to out there and hopefully get 5 or 6 strong innings, a win, a quality start. Do we like Red Sox in particular? Well, Cole has had a bug so far with power to lefties. That's something we saw last year. So far, it's doubled this year. I don't necessarily expect that to sustain. But if you wanted a shot at like a Mitch Moreland, maybe a Devers or somebody like that, I wouldn't think you're out of your mind. And then everybody in the Yankees lineup is playable for me. I think I'll have plenty of Yankee stacks. Makes a lot of sense. Let's move on to the next game. Mets at the Phillies. So I might put this game on pause unless we have a name for the Mets yet. So far, I got Walker Locket. I guess we're using Walker Locket. Walker Locket. He is a righty, 6.5K on DraftKings. All right, Walker Locket versus Spencer Howard. Those are names. The Phillies, first of all, I'm sure that run total's off the board, but at first they were like 3.5 implied run total. We'll see what that comes out after Vegas adjusts to Walker Locket being the pitcher here. But with that said, whenever something like that happens, we also probably can take advantage of misprices, right? This is a Phillies team priced against the reigning Cy Young Award winner, Jacob deGrom, and they're not quite getting that. No other pitcher on the Mets lineup is really somebody that I would be fearful of, and we know that bullpen has been really bad. So are the Phillies suppressed in pricing today versus the matchup we were going to get? It would look like on FanDuel, maybe. $3,900 for Bryce Harper. It's not like you're saving a whole bunch there. Real Muto as a $3,500 catcher on FanDuel is pretty expensive considering they typically price down their catchers. So it's not like you were going to get a bargain on these Phillies in reaction to deGrom being scratched. Maybe on DraftKings you feel like 5-3 for Real Muto against deGrom. Was that really the plan here? That's a little tough. I don't really feel like we're getting a huge bargain on these Phillies bats. Even if they were priced to face deGrom, I feel like DraftKings and FanDuel really weren't playing no games here. Nonetheless, we did just get a confirmed Phillies lineup. McCutchen, Hoskins, Harper, Realmuto, Didi, Segura, Jay Bruce, Bohm, and Roman Quinn. So as projected, that's how it came out. I certainly do like the Philly stack now a lot more than I did an hour ago. Their bats, as bad as their defense and their pitching has been, their bats have shown some pop in the last couple games. Realmuto, Harper, and then I do like Didi Gregorius. I can go look at this pitch report and see what Lockett's going to bring us. Fastball, curveball, changeup, and all of those pitches grade out negatively on a linear scale. So who grades out opposite? Didi Gregorius hits the curveball really well. Changeup is almost at a 1. So Didi could be a fun shortstop play today. I do like him as a potential RBI scooper going behind Realmuto and Harper anyway. Two guys with high on-base percentages. So I do like a couple bats here. Spencer Howard, somebody so far this season we don't have a lot of sample size on, just 4.2 innings pitched in the big leagues. So I do want to kind of quantify those numbers by looking at his minor league numbers and just kind of see if we can chase what he's done so far or see if there's some regression or progression coming in his not too distant future. In the minors, in Double-A last year, 17 innings pitched against lefties, 222 average, 13 innings pitched against righties, 125 average, a 1.29 whip to lefties. So that probably tells me he 8 walks in 17 innings, 2 homers in 17 innings. Any single-A numbers? Single-A was really sparkly. So he doesn't have any Triple-A sample size. And he went straight to the bigs. 26 strikeouts to lefties in 17 innings, 12. So he does strike out lefties at a higher clip in, again, 17 innings of sample size. Not a ton of sample there, but there is at least some strikeout potential at 4K. It's probably a bullpen game nonetheless, though, right? He threw 81 pitches against the Braves. 4K is really cheap. If you wanted to handcuff him to a high-end ace like a Cole and maybe go stack Coors or something like that, I don't think it's out of the question. And this is a Mets lineup that will come out pretty lefty-heavy with a bunch of 1-4, 1-5 strikeout candidates. So at 4K on DraftKings, I don't hate the idea of an SP2 there and just going nuts with like Coors Field if I wanted to grab like a Garrett Cole or somebody like that, or even a Yankee stack, Not a high level of confidence or warm and fuzzies, anything like that, but my man's priced cheaper than probably most of the bats in a lineup with him would be, so I don't mind taking a chance at that. But again, we're going off of fumes when it comes to sample size. Very little sample size at any level. to get a little too creative. But let's keep it moving. Indians at the Tigers. Next game on the docket. Pitching matchup here, Aaron Savali up against Ivan Nova. Savali's 1-2 with a 2.84 ERA. He's coming off his best start of the season where he tossed 7 frames against the White Sox, allowing 1 run on 5 hits, 5 strikeouts. It was his first outing of the season without allowing a homer. He'll be up against former Yankee great Ivan Nova, 1-0 with a 5.74 ERA. He picked up his first win as a Tiger last weekend in Pittsburgh, allowing 5 runs on 6 hits over 5 innings with 3 walks and 3 strikeouts. He's 3-3 with a 4.22 ERA and 7 career starts against the Indians, including 1-2 last season. So this is a really good spot for Savali. He's 9,300. He's shown his strikeout propensity. So far, he's cut his xFIP to lefties down quite a bit, almost in half. A 4.16 xFIP last year to lefties. But this year is at 2.56. And he's also got his xFIP to righties at 2.22. Again, cutting his xFIP in half from last year. Now, a broader sample size last year versus this year, so is there room for regression? Yes, but the matchup here isn't something I'm overly fearful of, and I love the potential strikeout rate. Now, swinging strike rate is 11.2%. Normally, when you see a 30+% strikeout rate to either side of the plate, you see a higher swinging strike rate. 11% still fine, but usually you'll see like a 13-14% swinging strike rate. So maybe those numbers are going to wobble just a little bit, but certainly a matchup where he could thrive. And even his xFIP is lower, like 2.22 to righties. That average allowed 282 and that 1.89, or excuse me, that 1.8 homer per 9. When you put that on a scale next to his xFIP, it probably suggests that he's been a little bit unlucky. So certainly looks like Savali is in a good spot against this Tigers team that will have a lot of strikeout potential. Only Miguel Cabrera has a sub 20% K rate to righties the last 2 years. So a big strikeout spot. Not a whole lot of power in this lineup. They lost C.J. Cron. This is becoming more of a journeyman squad with guys like Cameron Maben, Romine, Scope, like guys that just float around the league the last couple years, than a real powerhouse team to be fearful of. So certainly don't mind Savali. No Nova for me, but I will absolutely love to pick on Nova with lefties. That has been his bread and butter for DFS the last couple of years. Almost a 300 average allowed over the last couple of years against lefties. An over 5 xFIP, contact pitcher with a high home run per 9. J-Ram, Francisco Lindor, Carlos Santana, even Tyler Naquin cracking the lineup here. Plenty of lefties that would make my player pool for the Indians. And you could even sell me on an Indian stack. Just curious to see if there's any previous dates. Santana is batting 381 with 2 bombs. Cesar Hernandez batting 357. J-Ram's batting 308 with a double. So double-digit sample size here. Nothing that I want to, over-invest in based on BVP. But the matchup, we know Nova against lefties. Sign me up. And with that said, the Indians are a minus 203 favorite. So a big plus there for Savali if you want to go get those win points. Looks like wind's blowing in, temps in the low 80s. Really modest hitting environment too. So I definitely like me some Saval. I like some Indians bats. And that's all I got to say about that. What's up, chat? What up, AJB? What up, Jim Tall to God? Hopefully everyone out there is doing well. If you're playing basketball, I hope you're crushing it. Let's move on to the next game. Braves and the Marlins. We got Kyle Wright taking on Pablo Lopez. Marlins finally playing some home baseball, huh? Kyle Wright surrendered a pair of homers during the 4th inning of Saturday's start, but he held the Phillies scoreless in his other 5 frames. This marks just the second time in 7 career starts that he has completed at least 5 innings. The prospect will be looking to take another step forward. Pablo Lopez 1-1 with a 1.8 ERA. He's going to seek his first career win against the Braves. Yeah, a team he is 0-3 with a 3.54 ERA against the 5 starts. Overall, he's done well at Marlins Park. He has a 3.51 ERA at home in 100 innings of sample size. This Braves lineup came out earlier, and it looked a little funky. This isn't the Ronald Acuna lineup, right? No Ozzy Albies in this lineup. This is a weird lineup for the Braves, which might take some eyes off of them. It's a massive pitcher's park. Maybe the under's looking a little tempting. The Braves have an implied run total of 4.6. A slight favorite here against the Marlins. There's really not anyone in particular that I want to go out of my way to roster. Obviously, Freddie Freeman will be in the player pool based on Lopez's average allowed and home run per nine allowed. But you don't look at Nick Markakis for power. Maybe Johan Camargo. He's had some power lately. He homered in that Yankee game, and I think he had a double dong game earlier this season. But Inciarte's not a power lefty you're running from. Same with Markakis. So it's just really Freddie Freeman. And against righties, Pablo Lopez has not been the worst. I know this year, not a lot of sample size, but a 36.8% K rate to righties this year. Last year, 22%. I would take that 22% at under 7K. And I expect regression on that walk rate. That 15% seems like it's not normal. We have a larger sample size of him being a sub 8% walk rate guy to righties. So I actually don't think Pablo Lopez is in the most insane spot on DraftKings at 6.9K. This is a watered down Braves lineup that's already striking out at a decent clip. They kind of play to Lopez's strengths. I mean, his weakness is average in power to righties, to lefties. And there's only a couple of power, really one power lefty in that lineup, or even a high hit for average lefty, maybe two if you threw in Markakis. So I don't think it's the craziest idea to have a couple of Pablo Lopez's as a SP2 on DraftKings if you're mass entering. Wouldn't be my first guy out of the gate, but don't really have a reason to love the Braves, especially on this slate. So I probably won't have any Brave stacks, just a couple one-offs. And then on the Marlins side, Kyle Wright has been offering a lot of power to both sides of the plate thus far. A 2.38 home run per nine last year to righties, a 1.5 home run per nine to righties this year. Again, the sample size is under 20 innings for both seasons, so it's not a whole lot of wiggle room to feel confident that that's sustainable. But nonetheless, he hasn't really shown glimmers of being much better than that in my estimation. So are there some power bats here on the Marlins that we'd take a shot on? Jesus Aguilar. Maybe Corey Dickerson. I think there's some one-off potential in this Marlins lineup. I do, because the Braves bullpen also has been a little bit lackluster. So I can see some scrappy one-offs here from the Marlins. I don't get down with the team stack on either side, but I would start checking some names as one-off in my mass entry scripting, and that's it for that, right? Anything else you guys got here? I know I'm late, but Lopez has eaten up Atlanta last 3 games. No Albies, no Acuna. I'm with it. He wouldn't be on FanDuel. I don't think I'd get there. Probably. But on DraftKings, I could see him being a floater SP2. I could. Let's keep it moving. Reds hosting the Pirates. This was a fun game to watch yesterday because 40+% owned Anthony DeSclafani got smacked around. I think he ended up with just under -20 fantasy points, right? Chad Kuhl taking the bump up against Sonny Gray. Kuhl, he's no longer a tandem starter. He will get to work up to 5 innings in his second start of the season. He's been excellent so far, striking out 12 while allowing only 2 runs on 6 hits and 3 walks in 9 innings. He'll be up against Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray's 3-1 with 2.25 ERA. He earned his first loss of the season Sunday in Milwaukee, and he will be trying to bounce back. He lacked his good fastball and resorted to off-speed type stuff to get through. What I love about Sonny Gray is he is a righty that is almost better to lefties than he is to righties. If you look at the last couple of years, last year specifically, 29.2% K rate to lefties. This year, he has sustained that so far. His xFIP is about 3.5. Walk rate's a little up, but he suppresses power. He's a higher ground ball pitcher than not. The hard contact's a little bit alarming. But this is going to be a Pirates lineup that comes out super lefty heavy. And I think a lot of the newer fantasy baseball players will say, oh, man, look at all those lefties against this righty. Can't do it. I don't think that's the case here for Sonny Gray. I do like his potential here. I do think the Reds will be looking to him to go a little bit deeper if he can help it after yesterday's game and the games prior. So at 9.6K on DraftKings, I think he absolutely has a potential of being one of the top 5 pitchers, and if not players, on the slate in terms of fantasy points. Prior to that Milwaukee game, 28, 39, 30 fantasy points. I mean, I'm there. I don't think that the Pirates are inherently a high strikeout team, but I think he could get through this lineup and maybe average a strikeout per inning. 1 through 3, Bell, Frazier, Newman, they have really low K rates, but after that, it's 20% plus. So I do like me some Sonny Gray. On FanDuel and on DraftKings, I would have SP1 offerings of him. And I don't really see a reason to regret that. We go look at his pitch report on in the RunDFS.com MLB VIP spreadsheet. Fastball, curveball, slider. Only Brian Reynolds on the Pirates grade out really well against the curveball. There's a couple of concerns here against the slider, Frazier, Bell, and Polanco. But generally speaking, I like Sonny Gray. Pirates put up a bunch of runs yesterday off of DeSclafani. Now, their hard contact rates did suggest that was coming. And DeSclafani had underlying metrics that suggested that was coming. But I think Sonny Gray is a far better pitcher than DeSclafani. And if you look at his last couple of years, a sub-4 Sierra last year. So far, the Sierra is under 3 this year. I will certainly have some Sonny Gray. No Chad Kuhl for me. Chad Kuhl, though, this year to lefties has had an extremely high K rate with an extremely high ground ball rate. And I do wonder, in and of that myself, in just 9 innings of sample size total, is that a lie? I think so. He used to be a guy that had a big problem with lefties, a 4.6 xFIP in 2018, a 2+ home run per 9. The hard contact's been there. So I do think there's some room for regression there. This is still one of the better hitters parks on the slate. Great American Ballpark. Reds implied run total is just 5, but they are almost a 200 favorite. There is reason to maybe look at a Jesse Winker, who has been on absolute fire the last couple weeks. Right there in the middle of that lineup, could he sneak into some RBIs? I think so. Freddie Galvis hit a homer yesterday. Like I said, Tucker Barnhart kind of broke through yesterday. He's pretty cheap on both sides. Not really going to get a lucrative spot in the lineup. But I do like Winker. 2,600 on FanDuel, 3,600 on DraftKings. I like that spot for him, and I like the matchup per se. If you look at his game log here, man, look at all these hits. 3, 4. This is looking like DJ LeMahieu game log. The multi-hit games from the last 4 games straight. Some stolen base potential. Home runs in 3 of those last 4. I mean, he's getting it done. I feel like what he's done in this park, in this matchup, he's probably a little bit underpriced. So I would have some Jesse Winker in the player pool. I'm not sure if I'm going to land on full red stacks here. Nicolas Castillanos has looked really, really bad at the plate lately after a red hot MVP-like start to the season. He just couldn't get it done yesterday. A couple of check swings that went in plays. It looked like he's trying to find it. Knowing DFS, today would be the day. Shout out to Rich. Yesterday, I think Rich asked me 1v1 Nick Castellanos or Mookie Betts. And I was all about the red stack. And I said Castellanos. Mookie Betts hit 3 home runs. So that's on me, bro. My bad. That's tough. And of course, Mookie was set in his matchup against Chris Paddock. So I was just going matchup-wise. It wasn't like a talent thing. I thought matchup-wise, Castellanos had the better matchup, the better park. It didn't quite work out that way. So my bad. Give me Winker. Nick Senzel, I wouldn't mind a little share of him. Shogo Akiyama, he looks very tempting there at the top of the lineup, but they tend to sub him out. Even yesterday, where he made a great defensive play, and it was a throwaway game anyway, they still took him out for, I think, Phil Irvin. So that's probably something that we could see today, especially if a lefty comes out of the bullpen for the Pirates, right? Let's keep it moving and go check out the Twins hosting the Kansas City Royals. This game should be fun. I did see that the Royals are going to throw out their closer as their opener, right? Ian Kennedy taking on Jayco Dirizi. Generally, this game will see a long relief appearance by Jacob Junis. So we'll focus on him because Ian Kennedy's probably only going to pitch 1, maybe 2 innings just to get through the top 3 guys of the Twins lineup, trying to steal an at-bat from them. So we'll go with Junis versus Odorizi. Jake Junis is going to get the long relief appearance against the Twins, whom he faced Friday in the 3-2 Royals win. Junis went 4 2/3 innings and allowed 5 hits and 2 runs while striking out 2. He'll be up against Jayco Dirizi, who's got a 6 ERA on the season with just 2 strikeouts. He was rusty on Saturday in his 3-inning season debut, but that was expected following his absence due to an intercostal strain. He felt healthy and hopes to settle with more game reps. So Odorizi on DraftKings at 9.4K. I really don't think there's a single reason to play him on a 13-game slate, considering he's at best on a pitch count and at worst still trying to get through some rust. He threw 71 pitches in that Royals game. Could he get to 85 pitches? Sure. But at that price point, go give me a Sonny Gray, right? So I can't really justify him there. Maybe on FanDuel you get a little bit more creative at 6.9K. Can't play Kennedy, obviously. Junis is probably a no. I don't want to pick on the Twins. I will put Junis in the spreadsheet here. Junis does give up power, especially to righties. If this Twins lineup comes out like this, then maybe the bottom of that lineup has like Sano and Garver. I think the reason they're starting Kennedy is one last matchup between Junis and like Nelson Cruz, right? Kennedy, of course, is going to be a big fly ball guy. We put his stats back in there for a second. So he had a 55.6% fly ball rate this year to lefties. Has generally been well over 40% the last couple seasons, 50% to righties. This season, a 58.3% hard contact rate. Home runs are there. So I like the Twins stack as I always do. They have an implied run total of 5.8. I mean, the Yankees were at 6. Coors is at 5.9 for the Rockies, 6.7 for the Rangers. So it's one of those spots where they're expected to put up some runs. The Twins lineup just came out. It's going to be Kepler, Polanco, Cruz, Rosario, Marwin, Mitch Garver, Arise, Sano, and Buxton. So as projected, Twins lineup. So give me a Twin stack, absolutely. I can't get to Odorizi roster-wise. Do I want to pick on Odorizi with any of the Royals? Well, when it comes to the Royals, I probably am only interested in Merrifield, but on DraftKings, you're putting 6K into a Merrifield. On FanDuel, it feels a little bit more resourceful to pay almost half of that. So I could see some Merrifield on FanDuel. On DraftKings, I don't know if 6K for Merrifield's making the cut for me. Maybe Jorge Soler for a little bit of power, one-off potential. But I don't see myself full stack in the Royals today. But I will have Twins full stacks. Absolutely. Absolutely. Winker's way too cheap on FanDuel. 100% agree. What up, Danny? Love you. Let's move on to the next game here. Brewers at the Cubs. I think. Yes, Brewers at the Cubs. All right. Red Sox lineup came out. Cool. This matchup is going to be Brandon Woodruff, Tyler Chatwood. Brandon Woodruff 1-1 with a 2.53 ERA. It's going to be his second start at Wrigley. He was outdueled by Kyle Hendricks on opening day. He has a 0.98 whip for the 2020 season. Tyler Chatwood 2-1 with a 5.4 ERA. He was roughed up on August 6th, allowing 8 runs on 11 hits in 2 1/3 innings in Kansas City. He beat the Brewers on July 26th behind 6 strong innings, 1 run, 8 strikeouts. So I do think both of these pitchers are in the player pool today. I think I like Brandon Woodruff a little bit more than Tyler Chatwood. A lot bit more than Tyler Chatwood because Chatwood still has the DNA, the fingerprints of being a wild pitcher. And we're seeing that here and there. The last couple of years, an over 10% walk rate to both sides of the plate. This year, it's gotten better, but I would like to see a bigger sample size to trust it. At least I know Woodruff has come into the season with elite metrics, elite xFIP, elite Sierras, and so far this season he's built on that foundation. So Woodruff, absolutely a pitcher at 8.2K on DraftKings, absolutely a pitcher that might be my highest owned SB2, because my range of outcomes at that price to feel happy, it's probably 16 to 25, right? 16 on the low end. Could I get 25 plus? I think that's possible. This Cubs lineup has been without Chris Bryant for a couple of games. If that happens again today, it only weakens the potential that lineup has. We got temps in the high 70s, wind blowing in from center, so not necessarily anything to elevate the hitting environment. It's a great spot for Woodruff, I think so. If you look at his game log for fantasy purposes, 12, 16, 37, 13. So the range of outcomes is pretty wide, but the floor is still double digits. Pitch count 91, so he could get to over 100 pitches. I'm a buyer. Like I know the fantasy points has been very inconsistent, but I'm a buyer. I think the K stuff is there. I think the metrics are suggesting it's there. What I will do is go look at individual game logs, because overall his xFIP on the season is still 282 and a 288 Sierra. So has he just been that unlucky? Game logs. 4.48 xFIP against Cincy, 3.5, 1.33. So the xFIP's fine. He hasn't allowed more than 2 earned runs, a couple walks here and there. Yeah, I guess it just hasn't created a big fantasy point game, but I'm fine. I think that's a perfect example of a guy to take advantage of at a reduced price. I think he's playable for me on both sides, so I will play him on both sides. So give me some Woodruff. I don't think there's anyone on this Cubs team particularly I want to target as a bat against him. If we had to look at his biggest weaknesses, maybe he bleeds over from last year a little bit of pop allowed to lefties, Kyle Schwarber. But the thing with Schwarber is I would like to play Schwarber against low strikeout guys, and that's not Woodruff has a 30% carry to lefties the last 2 years. I mean that's not necessarily the Schwarber the Schwarber spot. So yeah, give me some Woodruff easily. I probably don't get the Tyler Chatwood because of how big the slate is. I don't want like a 10-man pitching pool. But I don't think you're insane if you told me you were going to take Chatwood against the Brewers. Brewers have just been not the best offense. But at 9-1 on Chatwood, I mean, that's nearly 1,000 more than Woodruff. I can go get Sonny Gray, who I do like. I'm just a sucker for metrics, right? I got to have the metrics really agree with me. And I don't know if I feel that with Chatwood. So I'm going to stay away from Chatwood, but I don't think he's crazy if he makes your player pool, right? What do we got, chat? Weather issues in the KC Minnesota game? Alright, maybe that's why Kennedy is starting, just in case it rains, right? I believe they're back at home. We got major storms in the forecast. Okay. Yeah, we got feet on the ground in Minnesota. Chatwood's my top tier pull pitcher tonight. He's eating up Milwaukee. Again, I think that's fine, right? Like, I think obviously you guys have a brain. You think for yourself. You don't need me to validate your plays. If you like Chatwood, it makes sense. I think his fingerprints, his DNA here is just gonna keep him out of my pool. I'll be cool with sticking with the DeGroms, the Woodruffs, the Sonny Grays. You know what I'm saying? But don't let me get you off of Chatwood if you're on Chatwood. The Cubs lineup just came out. No Bryant. All right. Ian Happ leading off. All right. So let me punch this in there for you real quick. Rizzo, Baez, Schwarber, Contreras, Jason Hayward. I mean, this lineup is very, very couple of guys, right? Nico Horna. All right, that's your verified Cubs lineup right there. We also got a Mets lineup. We might go back up in a little bit and fill out some lineups, see if there's any surprises. All right, let's move on to the next game. Rockies hosting the Rangers, Coors Field. It's Coors Field. They have a game. The Rangers total is almost at 6.7, right? Castellani pitching for the Rockies. He's a righty going against a powerful lefty team. Attempts in the 80s. Coors Field is Coors Field. Even Lance Lynn on paper, right? He's looking like a really tough guy. But we're not playing $9K for a Coors Field pitcher. It's just not happening. We're stacking this game, and I don't really think we need to spend too much time breaking this game down. Coors Field has been popping off this year. We take exposure to this where we can get it. The prices are going to be high. 6.2K, 6K, 6K for Story, Blackman, Arenado. On the Rangers side, maybe people are more hesitant to play the Rangers because they haven't been a powerhouse offensively. Even at home, I thought there was a couple times with a solid matchup in the roof open and high temps in Texas that they could pop off. But they haven't. But I will say it's coming. If we go look at the we'll open up FanGraphs. I'll show you guys something. We go to team stats and batted ball data. And then sort it by hard contact. I love hard contact. The Rangers have the 4th highest team hard contact rate in baseball with a 38% fly ball rate and about a 20% line drive rate. So they're still hitting the ball on the ground more than most. But the home run to fly ball rate should increase. Right? If you look at like the league average, if we sort the home run to fly ball rate, league average is about 15% this year. They're half of that. With the 4th highest hard contact rate, they're half the league average in home run to fly ball rate. So I do think the big game's coming. I can't be the guy that takes credit for them going off in Coors, you know what I'm saying? But I do think their metrics are saying it's on the way. Also, their pull rate's fine. It's not elite, but almost 40%. Pull in center field, yeah. So it's coming. So like, if you were hesitant to play the Rangers, don't be that hesitant. Go for it. Maybe we pull up Castellanos' minor league stuff, and just see if he struggled particularly with lefties by chance. God dang, that's bad. 341 average allowed in the minors to lefties. 6 homers in 19 innings. 8 homers in 24 innings to righties. He did have like a strikeout per inning against lefties and 28 Ks in 24 innings to righties, but that's a yikes. So yeah, so load up on bats from this game. Let's not get too scientific about it, right? What up, Earth to Air? Except the weather in Minnesota's been really funky. They'll say storm, and then it's straight sunshine. I don't know. What did Roth say about that game, chat? I don't want to play pitchers from that game, but if we get 9 innings out of it, I'll take those bats. But that could be a catalyst for Kennedy starting the game, right? Maybe they expect some mid-game delay or something like that. It could just be to steal some at-bats using your closer as an opener. Mariners at the Astros. Next game on the docket. Yusei Kikuchi taking on Framber Valdez. Kikuchi's a weird one, right? Kikuchi, 5.28 ERA. He gave up 5 runs on 5 hits, 4 walks in 3 2/3 innings his season debut at Houston. And while he's pitched better in 2 subsequent starts, the lefty's still winless this year. He's 0-2 with a 6.46 ERA and 5 career starts against the Astros. Valdez, after pitching 6 1/3 relief innings without an earned run August 2nd, he held the Athletics to 1 earned run in 7 hits and 7 innings in Saturday's start. He struck out 19 in 17 2/3 innings, and he walked 3. So Valdez does come into this game with a little bit of strikeout potential. So far, he's striking out lefties at a higher clip than righties. xFIP still kind of elevated, but hey, he's a home pitcher against the Seattle Mariners. You've seen this story play out before. A lot of people will want to go out there and pick on the Mariners just because they are the Mariners. The Rockies lineup came out. Looks like there's no surprises there. Valdez is almost 9K on DraftKings, 8.6K on FanDuel. I mean, if you thought he would be a solid play, sure, you can put him in the pool. I don't think there's a reason for me to get too outside my tight pool on this side of a slate. So I don't think Valdez is going to be someone that I'm overly curious with. I don't feel like I'm getting a massive deal at 8.8K on DraftKings. But 26 and 27 against Oakland and Los Angeles, there is strikeout potential. He's been a higher ground ball guy than fly ball guy, so that's a plus. I don't know. Maybe he does make the cut here. Mariners lineup will look. We'll have a lot of strikeout potential in it. And maybe Valdez could make the cut here if we love them for the win. Kikuchi, if you guys have been tracking the Mariners, I'm sure you have. This year, his pitching repertoire has looked a lot different. If you look at that pitch type and just look at this year to last year, this year his fastball's at a 95.1 average miles per hour, so up 3 miles per hour over his fastball from last year. His slider is a little bit lighter, but he's added a cutter, and he's thrown that 42.1% of the time, and he didn't use that before this season. And that cutter's at 92.4 miles per hour, and he abandoned the curveball. So got rid of the curveball, which I believe was one of his worst pitches, added a cutter. Lefties with a decent velocity cutter can thrive. We saw CC Sabathia add that cutter to his repertoire at the tail end of his career. Of course, Andy Pettitte, Mariano Rivera lived off the cutter. So Kikuchi's an interesting case. Now, the Astros are not a team I want to particularly pick on, but I do feel like 5.5K on a different slate, I'd probably have a share or two of Kikuchi. This year against righties, Kikuchi has a 3.03 xFIP with a 27.1% K rate, and the xFIP is low to lefties as well. So it looks like even though there's some games this season where Kikuchi has just kind of not thrived, right? A 6 and a 0.9. The xFIP is kind of suggesting that maybe he's a little bit unlucky. Look at it, 13 ground balls to 3 fly balls against the Rockies, and he gave up 4 runs. That just looks like it's bad luck. Like, wow. Let me go look at the game log on that. I mean, that's tough, right? So here's one of those guys that kind of look like a Brandon Woodruff to me. Now, because it's the Astros, I probably don't do it. But a 3.5 xFIP on a 6.35 ERA in that isolated game. Like I said, the ground ball was high. The BABIP was 300, so not insane. But there's going to be a game coming, I think, where Kikuchi is going to be far underpriced based on what his metrics are telling us. But I don't think I have to push the issue against the Astros. But on a different slate against a more average to average minus team, you give me 5.5K Kikuchi with a near 30% K rate and a 3 xFIP against righties, I'd probably take a gamble on him, but I don't think I'm doing it today. Astros lineup not out yet. We know guys like Springer, Altuve, Bregman, perennial lefty masters, so they would be some of the forefront guys. I think if we let BVP tell the story, I want to say like Springer or somebody has good numbers off of Kikuchi. But Kikuchi is essentially a different pitcher right now, so this is one of the many reasons why BVP isn't something to live or die by. Springer's batting .546 with a bomb, 11 at-bats. It's pretty good. Bregman's doing well, too. So Valdez, I could see having some exposure to. I probably don't get to Kikuchi. And that's probably it. What's up, chat? What do we got? Frankie Montas got scratched? Yikes, man. Are you for real? That's a yikes. All the phone is in the early games for lack of a better words. All the phone? Oh, okay. My boy Maldonado is the truth. All right, so I'm glad we didn't break down that athletics game yet, and I'm glad you guys showed me that. Looks like Labs has Jesus Luzardo as the starter there. Yeah. All right, so I will say Frankie Montas might have been one of the pitchers I would have played today. So with him being pulled out, I think we can introduce Framber Valdez as a candidate to replace him. And let's move. Dodgers at the Angels. Clayton Kurdishaw taking on Patrick Sandoval. Kershaw rarely disappoints in back-to-back starts, but the 3-homer spree by the Giants in his last outing looks similar to his late-season slump last season. Pitch location was the issue, but on the bright side, this year's added velocity has not dipped. He'll be working on an extra day of rest, having his turn in the rotation pushed back a day. He's 1-1 with a 3.6 ERA. Patrick Sandoval 0-1 with a 2.7 ERA. He's going to look to build on his last start when he allowed 2 runs over a career-high 6 innings against the Rangers. His one mistake was a homer from Joey Gallo. Kershaw's 10.6K. So I want to see this Angels lineup confirmed. But this lineup is not something I want to throw an average lefty at. I think Kershaw's still average plus. But if this Angels lineup comes out like this, right? Fletcher, Trout, Rendon, even Ohtani wouldn't be somebody I think is a free out. Justin Upton, Max Stassi. It's not something I feel super comfortable pitching against. So 10.6K on Kershaw feels like I'm paying a premium for an uncomfortable matchup. So because of that, I'm probably a little less likely to have anything but a tier 3 shot on Kershaw in my personal lineups, right? 10.6K, that's probably Garrett Cole territory for me. Maybe that's a mistake. Sandoval is pretty cheap on both sides. 6.8K on DraftKings. Is he SP2 worthy? You decide, but I don't think I'm taking a stab against the Dodgers. Mookie Betts back, hotter than ever. 3 bombs last night. Obviously, Max Muncy's a guy that hits lefties for power. A lot of people forget that about him. Justin Turner shown some pop over the last couple days. AJ Pollock against a lefty, sure. It's just Kike Hernandez. This is a lefty hitting team in the Dodgers. And they hit with some power, so I definitely don't mind that. Did the Rockies change something? Because I got another alert about the Rockies. I don't know what the change would have been. Yeah, so not a high level of not a high level of confidence there for Kershaw. Maybe he makes the tier 3, but that's it. Guys, I got some Starbucks. Can I drink Starbucks? I already drank a Bang, by the way. Oh, that's so good. Oh, that's so good. Also, I just found out my new office chair is here, so we'll be putting that together. You guys got anything on this game? Am I missing? I don't think there's any secret tells in this one, right? Kershaw's a minus 170. Maybe on a late slate. I think if I ended up with some Kershaw exposure on the main, maybe on the late slate, I go stack the Angels just to kind of hedge that. Because I do feel like there's a range of outcome where this Angels team surprises some people. If it's full bore, right? Trout, Rendon, Fletcher. But, yeah. No surprises from the Dodgers side, I don't think so. All right, next game on the docket. Padres at the Diamondbacks. Chat, somebody help me out. Right now I got roof closed, but what I'd be worried about here is if for some reason they open the roof like they did that Lance McCullers game. But right now I got roof closed, so we're going to go forward assuming the roof is closed or staying closed. We got Dinelson Lumet taking on Merrill Kelly. Lumet 2-0 with a 1.61 ERA. He's carried a no-no past the 5th in each of his last 2 outings. An indication that his already filthy stuff has gotten even better this season. His slider's inducing a 48% whiff rate. Opponents are hitting just 118 against it. Merrill Kelly 2-1 with a 2.29 ERA. He's been the team's most consistent starter this year. He got the win last time out against the Padres on Saturday when he allowed just 1 run on 6 hits over 6 innings. The lone run Kelly allowed was a leadoff bomb by Fernando Tatis Jr. Implied run total for each team here, 5 on the Padres, 4.1 on the D-backs. Dinelson Lumet's in the pool, man. He's making the cut. 30.5% K rate to lefties, 32% plus K rate to righties the last 2 seasons. XFIP is sub 4. If the roof is closed, we got humidor baseball. I'm a buyer in Lumet. Obviously, his hard contact rate is going to be a little bit elevated. And that's always a concern, but for the most part, I'm absolutely fine with rostering some Lumet. And I think he'll probably be in the yellow for me, right? Maybe in the orange, but at best the yellow. Because I do like Woodruff as a discount. But I think it makes a lot of sense for me to have Lumet. I don't think I played Kelly at 10K. But I think I might just over-respect the Padres matchup, right? Because I love Tatis, I love Machado, Tommy Pham. What do you do? You put up 20 against them? Is this really a game log? So, how does Woodruff have a 30 in his game log and a bunch of mid-tiers and his 8K, and Merrill Kelly's almost 10K with 130 and a bunch of, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's the algorithm on that one? So I don't think I get to Merrill Kelly, but he's not necessarily somebody I want to go out of my way to pick on. He does allow some power to both sides of the plate. 2 home run per 9 to lefties, 1.7 home run per 9 to righties. Tatis is in the pool. Machado, Tommy Pham, all those guys. Even Trent Grisham probably makes the cut for me. So that's it there. Give me some Lumet, right? Lumet's your number 1? Yeah. Starbucks ill. Caribou is better. Hey, man. Yeah, I don't know what Caribou is, but I'm assuming it's some moose-inspired coffee, right? Athletics at the Giants. So this is a game we're going to have to change up a little bit. We got Jesus Luzardo on the bump against Johnny Cueto. Luzardo, 2.6 ERA. Is going to make the start after Frankie Montas was scratched due to upper back tightness. He'll be up against Johnny Cueto. He's 1-0 with a 5.4 ERA. He carried a no-hitter into the 6th inning his last start at Dodger Stadium, but his bid ended on a drop fly ball by Hunter Pence. He's 1-0 with a 2.57 ERA in 2 starts against the A's. So Cueto, to his credit, has been pitching results-orientatedly well. If you're a fan of metrics and underlying metrics like me, the 6+ xFIP, 6.76 xFIP to lefties, 5.2 xFIP to righties is a little bit tough to get behind. High home run per 9 allowed to righties. Athletics are a heavy righty team, right? It is the number 1 pitcher spark on the slate. Cueto, I think one of the things that gets Cueto through a game is his several funky deliveries, the quick pitches, the rocking chair, all that stuff. I think you add those into the mix, and it helps him live, and it doesn't hurt that he's an oracle. So I don't have any interest in pitching Cueto. With that said, I don't have any interest in full stacks of the Athletics, but Matt Chapman probably projects well. Sean Murphy, power-wise, projects like a crazy punt there at 2,100 on FanDuel. And then against Jesus Luzardo, I mean, the Giants that I do play are guys like Mike Yastrzemski. Do we neutralize that by the fact that it's a lefty? Luzardo isn't someone that we can surprisingly pitch, right? AK threw 89 pitches in that last appearance. Could you get 20 plus out of Luzardo? If you think you could, sure, he's in the pool. Sierra's under 4, but Sierra's higher than his ERA. Swing and strike rate's pristine. Not a lot of built-in strikeouts there, right? Yastrzemski, Dickerson, Belt at 1-4. Maybe Slater as well. He'd probably nickel and dime a few more strikeouts off of some of these 19%ers. Maybe you just play Luzardo as a this is what fate gave us last minute Luzardo exposure. On FanDuel 6.4, does that help out a full course stack? I think so. Implied run total for the Giants is at 3.6. The Athletics at 4.9. The Giants run total might be the product of being projected to face Frankie Montas, but Luzardo's metrics are maybe as good, arguably better than Montas. So I don't know that we're going to see a whole lot of movement on that run total. We do have a confirmed Giants lineup, though. Yastrzemski, Solano, Evan Longoria's batting third, a historic lefty masher. Wilmer Flores is in the mix, a historic lefty masher. Hunter Pence, Darren Ruff, man, they're bringing out all the big boys, right? Pablo Sandoval, Chadwick Trump, and Mauricio Dubon. It's a lot of righties. Start off with a pair of lefties. Yeah. Is there a game we left off? We didn't break down the Orioles and Nats game. So I might take a peek at that. But real quick, I'm going to go get that confirmed D-backs lineups out. If you guys got any questions, comments, concerns, is there updates on the Minnesota weather? Did you guys see Roth kind of put a color code on that? Let me know. D-backs, Calhoun, Marte, Starling Marte, Peralta, Christian Walker, Stephen Volt is batting 6th, Andy Young, Dalton Varsho, and Nick Ahmed. That's your D-backs lineup. Yeah, you can still give me Dinelson Lumet quite confidently, actually. Check your boy game log versus Arizona. Lumet, yeah, I'm with that. All right, while we do that, I could take out this Rays and Blue. Can I? No, I can't. All right, so I guess I gotta add this FanDuel extra game, Nats and the Orioles. So if you guys are unaware, the FanDuel main slate is going to lock at 6:30, so 5:30 my time, which is 2 hours. So if you're playing both sites or you plan to play both sites, make sure your FanDuel is done first. Because they're going to include the Nationals game with the Orioles. But the caveat with that is I believe they have to finish another game before they play the main game. And there's like half a game already in on that. So there is still a chance you don't even have the lineups for that game. I don't know what FanDuel's doing. Like, I don't know why they would include that. But I just feel like they don't actually research the slate before they make the slate, right? Like, they don't make sure... I don't know, because that game wasn't on the DraftKings slate, right? So shout out to DraftKings for being cognitive of what's before them. But anyway, this is a Steven Strasburg start over there on FanDuel. So you add a upper end pitching option that you don't have on DraftKings. So maybe you take advantage of that as we type in the projected Orioles lineup. Bear with me one moment, please. Chat, I think I'm the fastest typer in all of sports. Right? Strasburg, 9K on FanDuel, Tommy Malone. That's going to be a no for me, dog. You guys know the deal. Strasburg, pretty doggone good. World Series MVP caliber player. 2.94 xFIP last season. I actually... Like, there's so many games on this slate that I actually don't even have the new metrics, but I can get it. So bear with me. He's really good. The Orioles are on paper really bad, although they have been scrappy. But this is a super unique spot in that we don't actually know, or at least we may not know who pitches for who's in the official lineup for the Orioles. It's kind of weird trying to do a breakdown while I'm making spreadsheet stuff, right? So I think we do play some Strasburg on FanDuel just because we have access to him. He's still probably not one of my core pitchers, but I absolutely think there's a great shot that he gets to win his offense against Tommy Malone. There's a bunch of lefty masters in that lineup. Howie Kendrick. Juan Soto's been on fire. Asdrubal Cabrera's had some really big games. Even Trey Turner. Trey Turner's 3,200 on FanDuel. That's way too cheap. Way too cheap. So give me a Nat stack. No Orioles for me. And give me some Strasburg. Can we talk about the 42 runs Tampa Bay put on Boston this weekend? That series got nuts. Hunter Renfroe. You know, yesterday was one of those slates where I liked the Pirates against DeSclafani, right? DeSclafani was a chalk pitcher with bad metrics against lefties, and the Pirates were really frowned upon because of their lack of power thus far. And I was like, this is a death spot for DeSclafani. And I love the Pirates, so I went out there and stacked Pirates. I was really low on DeSclafani. Like, I probably had 10% at most. I was more Yu Darvish and Glasnow. Glasnow wasn't even like a killer, but if you played him over DeSclafani, I think he outscored him by 40 just because he didn't have minus 20. But like, you couldn't even be proud of the Pirates call because the freaking Rays went bananas. So yeah, Red Sox stank. Hopefully they give up another 40 runs tonight. You know. Danny says it says we have a thunderstorm, 80% chance starting at 6, then 40% at 7, then just cloudy. All right, so we'll see if maybe Roth projects that game to start late. If not, we might have a weekend doubleheader, right? So the Yankees should go bananas. They should go bananas. Like I said, what I'm looking for in that Yankees lineup is the status of Aaron Judge. And because the Red Sox lineup is already out and the Yankees lineup is not, I am a little bit concerned. Yankees have moved to minus 319 favorite. So, so it's going in the right direction. But I think their run total went from 6 to 5.9. Fastest typer in sports. Hey, let's go back and I bet somebody's already put all these lineups in for me. No, okay. Red Sox official lineup came out. Verdugo, Devers, Martinez, Xander Bogaerts, Mitch Moreland, Vasquez, Kevin Pillar, JBJ, and Jonathan Ross, your official Red Sox lineup. Nothing changed there from our projections earlier. Mets and Phillies is out. We got Nimmo Conforto's batting second, and not J.D. Davis. Alonso, Dom Smith batting cleanup. And Robbie Cano back in the lineup. Wilson Ramos, Andres Jimenez, Luis Guillorme, and Ahmed Rosario is your Mets lineup against Spencer Howard. Like we said, that game is just off the table in terms of predicting what happens. I think you stack that game. Just, you know, an offense that was expecting to face DeGrom just got a massive uptick and keep it going. And then the Cubs lineup. I think we did type that in. So I'm still interested in Brandon Woodruff there. All right, chat. We have Coors. All right. Before I get this plug out the way. Actually, let's get the plug out the way. Then we'll talk about Coors. Today only. Because pertinent basketball isn't until Monday, and that leaves us a weekend devoid of basketball and just baseball. Decided to have a one-day sale on VIP passes. $20 for the week. $40 for a 2-week pass, $70 for a month pass, and then we reduced the year-end pass from $300 to $250. So that year pass will at least stay at $250 at worst, and we might even drop it a little bit more in when NFL gets here. But if you guys want to take advantage of these one-day savings, I sound like a douchebaggy used car salesman. Go to rundfs.com, make yourself an account, get signed up. That'll get you access to the baseball spreadsheets. I'm going to be dressing up my player pool when I get off the air. We'll be in the rundfs.com VIP Discord. We'll be chatting it up. You see Fish fans already in voice chat. You guys can be part of the voice chat, listen in, grab a mic, have some fun, make some new friends in the industry. And when baseball gets back on Monday, because you got a week pass on Friday, you're good until next Friday. And you'll have a couple of days of NBA coverage, and we'll be breaking those down. Looks like we should expect 4-game slates for each NBA playoff slate, which is fine. And then I don't have to guess whether or not Keita Bates Diop is somebody we should be playing today, right? So I'm excited for that. We'll also have some videos next week for NBA as well. Anyway, before we get out of here, we'll take one last look at Coors. The lineups look like Shin-Soo Choo, Kiner Falefa is batting second, which I did not expect. Willie Calhoun, Joey Gallo, Todd Frazier, Nick Solak batting sixth. Seventh spot is Rougned Odor, Elvis Andrus, and Jeff Mathis. Didn't they have somebody over Odor the other night? And now Odor's back in the mix? Yikes. They really love them some Odor. They really do. I guess punching Jose Bautista got him a job for life. Story, Blackman, Arenado, Murphy, Raimel Tapia batting sixth. David Dahl, Ryan McMahon. All right, so Ryan McMahon's batting seventh. David Dahl batting eighth, man. He went from the leadoff spot to the 8 hole. That's tough. If you guys got anything else for me, Twitter.com/GundeckerSports, where you can reach out to me. The DMs are open if you have any questions about VIP or how to access something. I don't mind chopping it up with you guys on Twitter. Other than that, that's it for me. I gotta get out of here. Get to work on tonight's MLB slate. I don't know if there's gonna be weekend content on this channel for tomorrow. Let's see. Tomorrow's baseball slate is probably a day slate, right? I don't know. Let me pull it up. Fastest typer. Texas and Arizona came out. All right. So tomorrow, 1-4. Tomorrow looks like it could be a weird main slate. There's a bunch of 5 p.m. games. So maybe it's one of those slates that starts a little bit earlier, right? So that's going to be it for me. If you guys got anything else for me, twitter.com/GunDeckerSports. I'll be in that RunDFS.com VIP Discord. Before you get out of here, if you would help me out, hit that thumbs up. Otherwise, I love you. Good luck. God bless.